What is up? How's everybody doing? It's Quick Slants. We got 22 minutes of fun and adventure today. We'll bring Kay Adams in a second, but as I welcome you people in, I'm going to have to admit that nobody's ever going to forget the chaos at the end of Sunday's game. But the state of the 2022 Patriots after 14 games was really encapsulated in 4 plays from the Raiders, too, in the second quarter. You remember them. After a Ramondre Stevenson run, you had the overshoot of Jonnu Smith by Mac Jones, ass throw, then a timeout, then Mac Jones throws a little high for the goal line and a little too close to Aguilar. That got broken up. Then the Patriots lined up and scored a touchdown, but Bill Belichick called timeout. He swears that the whistle blew, it didn't. And then after that was wiped off the board, Mac has a sneak for a touchdown, but because he didn't wait for Jonnu to line up, it got waved off. So that whole little scenario, players not trusting coaches, coaches not trusting players, execution issues on both ends, and in the end, it's a loss. And where do they go from here, ladies and gentlemen? By the end of this program, you'll know. Here's the game plan. Crossroads moment. Oh, yeah, it is. Nightmare Before Christmas. We'll find out whether or not Kay likes that appellation for this particular game. That's Appelation, not appellation like the mountains. Scott Hanson, Irrelevant Questions. He'll be joining us from the Red Zone, and polls and comments. We're going to bring in Kay right now, though, and before we get Kay's insight on things, these are the things we find out about Kay after knowing her for 8 years that we didn't even know before. Look at this tweet from Kay. What? Can I get nachos, please? No sour cream. Okay, she's an absolute jalapeno fiend, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand that? That tweet was in relation to what she wanted on her nachos. Sorry.
That's how I take my nachos. No sour cream, maybe a side of Sour Patch Kids. That's what you would say. And can you not say that you've known me for 8 years and aged me like that? Gosh, Curran.
I'm 41 years old. You're like, what, 26? Come on.
That's right, 26.
We'll get to your input on what happened on Sunday in just a second. But right now it's time for Quickfire. It's brought to you by your New England Honda dealers. Kay, take it away.
Don't ask me how I feel. Let's ask and listen to Mac Jones. He was talking to WEEI about how the team can stay together despite falling apart.
I feel like we have a very mature group of people that we're all playing for each other, which is the most important part, and obviously to win. But it's hard. You want to look at the winning part of it, but you also have to look at the process part of it too. So you got to stick to the process, and the wins and everything will come. And that's great advice from Slater, is just come together.
Got to come together, Kay, right now. Over me. Right now, do you think they have the capability to come together? I think they can talk a good game, but what I'm seeing, Kay, is when the heat of the moment rises, they're coming undone, which is uncharacteristic, but the whole season has been uncharacteristic, Kay.
It certainly has. I mean, that play speaks for itself. I don't know. I know you don't want to discuss it. It's been over discussed, but it will live in infamy with all the other outrageous clips that we know. Tie game, go to overtime, can't get it done. Whose fault is it? All of that over and over again. And it's not going to get easier. How are they going to come together? And they've got the Red Hot Bengals to take on here in short time. Let's get to that in a bit. But first, we have an Instagram quote. I want to show you this because I pay attention to this. Who's liking Instagram posts, all of that? Well, Bill Barnwell said the Patriots should either go after Tom Brady or Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason. And we noticed that Trent Brown liked said post. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to get too enmeshed in the social media drama that we sometimes see. I'm sure he's going to say he fat-thumbed it and never even meant to do that. Or he just likes Bill Barnwell. I don't know. Or he thought it was a handsome Jimmy picture. They all are. But the upshot of it is, and we're going to get into this later in the show too, but does it actually beg the question of whether or not the Patriots should start to look around the store that contains all the quarterbacks who might be able to come in and help out their 2023 season? Because right now, 7 touchdowns, 8 picks, Mac is not doing a great job protecting his job.
My question for you is, you know this team inside and out. I work on it in media in a national level. Are we trying to kill the Brady to Patriots storyline? Is there anything, because it's going to be talked about all offseason. Yeah. Are we sparing this or no?
I think it should be murdered. that storyline.
Okay.
But I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo would actually be conversation worthy. I don't think the Patriots want to jump in from the firing pan into the fire. Jimmy Garoppolo would be on IR the same way he is in San Francisco, probably just because of the abuse he took if he was here in New England. And Tom Brady is not going to want to go to a team that is so damaged right now that they can't even get in from the one and has scored a total of 24 touchdowns all season. So to me, no on the Brady aspect.
No, on the Brady aspect, he says, even though everyone's still going to talk about it at nauseam, it'll be really great. Let's show you some numbers here.
Okay.
Raiders. This is the second half possessions on Sunday by Vegas. It started with a pick six, 5 consecutive punts on drives that totaled 2 first downs, then ended. I know. Look at this. It ended with a 9-play, 81-yard touchdown drive to tie the game at 24. The defense simply never rested.
No, and Kay, to me, this is where you run the risk. We spend all our time on what's Bill thinking about Mac going bananas on the field. What's Mac thinking about Bill's decisions? We're seeing a very, very, very good defensive performance in multiple games be leveraged by the Patriots offense. So how pissed off do you think the defensive players and the defensive coaches might be if you hit them with the truth serum and said, do you feel let down a little bit by what you're looking at? Because to have all those 3 and outs and to reduce a team with Devontae Adams and Waller and Renfro and Derek Carr to what they reduced them to and still lose, that's tough to swallow, okay?
I've talked to Hall of Famer Chris Carter about this. I've talked to Darius Butler about this recently. Once the season gets to a certain point, those locker rooms there's something happens in them where the defense isn't pulling their weight or the offense is in that sort of fashion. It does weigh on the team and what they can accomplish the rest of the way. Finally, I want to show you, I like the Bengals. Joe Burrow's last 6 games. Undefeated, 66.7 completion percentage. That's not great, but 16 total touchdowns, 4 picks. Nice little passer rating. What are you making of this one?
Can you say undefeated again? Say undefeated again.
Yeah, he's undefeated.
Undefeated.
How about him? How about Tom Brady not really wanting to shake his hand and then him being like, okay, cool, I don't want to shake your hand either.
That's your guy. That's my guy who was a little salty, and I understand that. To me, Joe Burrow is what Mac Jones could be. If he had a Jamar Chase, if he had a coach and plan offensively, if Zach Taylor, who's a terrific offensive coach, was perhaps here instead of Matt Patricia, not instead of Bill Belichick, but you need that to really create this. And if you look at Joe Burrow, he had a rookie year where he ended up injured. His second year, they went to the Super Bowl. Look how Mac's second year is going. There have to be steps that are followed, and the Patriots are forfeiting one here. So it's tough, Kay.
It's tough. Hey, how tough was the poll this week?
Oh, the poll was solid. Here's from the stands, ladies and gentlemen. Poll results are presented by Shaw's, perfecting the art of fresh. She's so good at segues. Patriots have 3 games left for Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo. How many wins for New England? I asked you folks. They win all 3, 4% of you. They win 2, 8% of you. So what did the other 88% say? Well, 37% said just 1 win. And 51% said they'll win nothing and like it. Okay, what do people say?
Steve says the Bengals come in unthreatened. Pats win. Dolphins come in mid-polar vortex and Pats shut down Hill Waddle. First game, Pats win. Bills rest no starters. Pats still lose. 2023 Jones traded to Raiders. Garoppolo signs here. New OC, new DC, playoff team. Professional skeptic says the 4% of people who believe that the Pats will win all 3 should lay off the eggnog. Nate says they'll respond to the humiliation and win out onto the Super Bowl where they rematch with Phil. Patricia will bench some key player and they will lose. And Eric
a lot of
said,
innovative stuff.
Yeah, they're a lost team, not a bad team. They're just lost in their own heads. I really think this has to be it for Bill and company. A completely fresh direction must be a priority. There's talent on the team, but a full rebuild is needed, not a retool. Man, the drama in New England.
You're a retool. Sorry, you're not. Sorry about that. It just occurred to me. Everybody had a slice of right in there, except for the guy who said that they were going to take out a Buffalo Bills team who was going to be resting their starters because they're going to need to win that game, Kay. Kay, you like my haircut? I just got to glance at the big. It's time for Ask Kay. I just got to glance at the big screen. It looks absurd.
You don't look like a retool at all.
Kay, this is important. This is you addressing what in God's name happened at the Chargers game recently on your Up and Adams show on FanDuel TV. Here it is.
Oh, gosh. 50
You look like a child.
Here's what happened. No. Here's what happened. This is actually incredible.
Meeting Santa Claus.
This is the anti-Joe Burrow. Could I be less cool? The game ends. I've had some shots. And Mick Hamilton, I run over there, and I'm acting like I'm their coach, smacking their butts. They're going to the locker room. I'm like, attaboy, go win me a Super Bowl. Hey, and Derwin James is like, yeah, cool, lady, like great, like like Austin Eckler's like, yeah, and I'm just like, yeah. I was so juiced.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Get back up here.
I'm so embarrassing. Like, I thought they need to talk to me. Mike Williams there, he needs to hear from me. Keenan Allen, I need a line. I ran from my suite under some red velvet rope through another suite to get to the point where I start yelling Tom Telesco's name. Like the GM of the Chargers. Yes, I'm yelling, Tom, you know my voice, Tom. And I was so juiced, like running through. I'm telling Mike Williams, pictured there, mic'd up for this game. And you can hear embarrassing footage of me going, go win the Super Bowl, attaboy, baby.
Oh, well, those are the things that help us learn, okay? And I'm glad that there's video, because sometimes it worked for David Hasselhoff, remember, with the hamburger?
And that's all I needed to hear. You just compared me to the Hoff. Bye.
Merry Christmas. All right, coming up after the break, we're going to hit My Slant. And I'm going to tell you what is the root of the issue that you really should be concerned about as the Patriots turn into their final 3 games. Don't move. Growth potential. Brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti. Look younger, feel younger. Get your hair back with Leonard Hair Transplant Associates. All right, here's some ugly reading for you. Patriots' red zone percentages this season, and really all of their situational offensive football situations. I'll be silent here and you can read it. Okay, enough. Time for My Slant. Watch out! All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got trust issues. Let me lay this out for you. You think Ramondre Stevenson and Jacoby Myers would have been as careless with the team's fortunes last year as they were Sunday? No flipping way. But a new climate has emerged on this team. Players feel let down by the coaches, and they have decided to take control and, as Phil Perry wrote, be the drivers of cleaner football. The tendency to go a little rogue has emerged. You see it in Mac Jones' on-field histrionics and his dismissiveness toward the sideline. It's not a mutiny, but it's a minor erosion of authority. And the result is, what will Bill say here? Either isn't front of mind, or it really isn't even worried about. But when you take that road and you decide Ramondre Stevenson to drop it behind you, or you have an idea, Jacoby Myers, to launch it into the stratosphere towards Mac Jones, you better be really, really good. You better be on point with your decisions. On Sunday, Mac Jones, probably the leader of all this, was really kind of bad. And Bill Belichick didn't hesitate to point out the limitations of Mac in terms of our strength or mistakes around the entire team. Check this.
We need to try to eliminate all the mistakes we made. All of us. We just collectively made too many mistakes and, gave up some big plays. He had an opening. We made a mistake on, play didn't work. Made a mistake on the play. It's obviously a mistake on that play too. Have to eliminate those mistakes and we just gave up some critical big plays.
I have 23 years of Bill Belichick press conferences under this particular belt. And as a result, I know the difference between a pissed off Belichick who's leaving it everywhere and a pissed off Belichick who's putting it where he wants it. And when you go rogue and leave Bill Belichick's team a laughingstock, which is what happened on Sunday, you're going to end up dealing with his ire. And I think that Bill Belichick was pointed in his criticisms there. That was as badly as it could have gone for a team and a bunch of players who have taken ownership and are trying to be the drivers of things. You now have a disorganized and dysfunctional team that is going to try and find its footing in the final 3 games. We got some more comments from you guys in response to the poll. First up, Panic Gamer. They're toast. They're so far toasted that they're bordering on charcoal, Tom. I have a question if you have time. How long before we worry about a Darnold situation with Mac? How much can this coaching staff break Mac before the franchise can't fix him, no matter the OC. I'll get to that in one quick second. Here's the other comment from Mike Gaynor. How much does BB buy into Mac Jones? Follows along the same line. If they end up with a top 10 pick and a top quarterback fell, would they go for it? And this, to me, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the ongoing stories that we're going to really observe, because if Mac Jones wants to be agitated at the sideline and then perform as he does, then Bill Belichick's probably going to start to scrutinize whether or not he wants to carry forward with this quarterback in the future. Is he all that Bill thought? Or are limitations starting to show as the poop has been hitting the fan? Time now for risers and fallers. Our first riser, taking a knee. Just the notion of taking a knee, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the game and going to overtime. There's a lot to be said for that. Another riser, it's perennial. It's weekly. It's Josh Uche, number 55 in your hearts. We were on that scene early, okay, ladies and gentlemen? Been a big Josh Uche guy. I have the concert T-shirt from 2020, and I still wear it sometimes. 10.5 sacks, all since week 8. Got a couple of fallers. If you guys haven't even looked ahead yet, have you taken a look? Well, you haven't. If you haven't taken a look, let me break it to you. The Christmas matchups on Sunday, not that freaking good. Only one team with a winning record plays. Again, now it's escaped me who exactly the matchups are. Dolphins, the only team with a winning record. Yeah, at least you get a peek at the team the Patriots are playing next. And then the other faller, the National Football Conference's South Division. Everybody well under 500. Everybody's still with a chance. Believe it or not, everybody in that division, including the 5-8 Falcons, is still with a chance. 5-9? 5-9. Still with a chance to win that division. All right. Wednesday at 6 o'clock, tune in for the game plan. Tom Giles will be joined by two-time Super Bowl champion Vince Wilfork. It's presented by your local New England Honda dealers. Coming up after the break, my buddy Scott Hanson joined us. He's our irrelevant question target this week. So handsome. Now it's time for irrelevant questions.
Let's go.
Okay, and this is kind of speedy. We keep
Call me Mr. Irrelevant.
You could have been, but instead, Scott Hanson, you were honored in 1992 by the Syracuse football program with what honor, and how much did it mean to you?
I was the Defensive Scout Team Player of the Year. In my junior year, I walked on the team because I loved the game and I wanted to see if I could get a few more years out of it. Played 4 years there, never made it as a player on game day, but no one tried harder on the scout team than I did, and the coaches acknowledged me and gave me that honor, and it's still one of the best football honors I've ever had.
Because we just passed the 5-year anniversary of a monumental time in your career. In December of 2017, you took a bathroom break?
I know. Can you believe it? The inimitable Roger Goodell told me one time, he's like, Scott, is it true that you don't take a bathroom break during red zone? I'm like, that's right, Roger. Yeah, I don't. I don't want to miss any touchdown. I have my fantasy football team's name is the Iron Bladders. First place playoff bound Iron Bladders, by the way.
Last question. This is the question that I wanted to ask. I forgot to ask. The 3 most famous people who've recognized you and told you they appreciate your work.
Is it, this is terrible, I might forget his first name. Parsons, the actor who was on The Big Bang Theory. Is it Jim Parsons? My mom is a huge Big Bang Theory fan, and she happened to be watching when Parsons was on. I'm pretty sure it's Jim Parsons. And she goes, Scott, you're not going to believe it. And I'm like, well, yeah, Mom, a lot of people watch it. But she thought that like legitimized my career because one of her favorite actors said, so that's one. I've been told we've been on in the White House in both sides of the aisle administration, if you know what I'm saying. Really the coup de grace was this, and this one kind of got me, is during the Super Bowl, when we do Super Bowl opening night, I think it may have been Patriots Falcons. It was one of the Patriots Super Bowls. So we're all scrambling, stuff like this. I get a tap on my shoulder. I turn around. It's Tom Brady. And I'm like, hey, Tom. He's like, Scott, I just want to say you do an amazing job on Red Zone. And I was like, dude, thanks. You know, you're really good at your job too. You know, I'm like, you know, I've been a fan of Brady's. I love excellence. I've been a fan of Brady's forever. But I thought, wow, he's watching. I'm thinking in my head, when does he have to? I'm like, okay, Thursday night football when they're playing, Monday night football, the bye week.
He said it one time. He actually mentioned it in the press conference when he was here. He's like, this red zone stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
He said it on one of the days that they had not played on a Sunday, and someone asked him how it was going. He said, wow, it's red zone. It's amazing.
And that just goes to show he's a legitimate football junkie, not just himself and his team wanting to win.
All right, buddy.
Okay, man. Excellent. Yeah,
care.
Got it. See you next time. Happy holiday.
All right. He's absolutely unstoppable when he starts talking. Did you hear at the beginning I said, this is quick. Be quick with the. I had like 11 questions. That added on another 20 minutes to the podcast, which was an epic podcast. And speaking of the podcast, it's Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. You see it here. But the extended version can be found in any of your podcasting apps. I want to thank my guy as we head to the end of the year, John Henry, who produces that. I want to thank the OC folks who do all of those irrelevant question things, Kevin Ducharme, Ryan Preventure, and Adam Hart. I want to thank the producer of this show, Rob Snyder, Buckets. Every single week we work together to try and make it entertaining. Jeff Garcia is almost always our floor guy here, so thanks to all of them. Do you know the most famous person that ever recognized me, or the one that stuck out the most? Brian Dennehy. Remember Brian Dennehy from FX, that movie? Was on an Amtrak train coming back from New York, Stanford or something, and he's like, hey, you remember Brian Dennehy? I wish we had a picture we could flash up of Brian Dennehy. Anyway, enjoy your holiday. Enjoy the Patriots. Should be plenty of good seats available at Gillette on Saturday.